In the run-up to this weekend, May 22nd, when we get Mandalorian and Grogu on the big screen, this is my review for The Mandalorian Seasons 1, 2, and 3, plus the Book of Boba Fett as well. Let's talk about it. So Star Wars The Mandalorian, it's a television series created by Jon Favreau, who, if you don't know, everyone knows who Jon Favreau is, but great actor who's part of the MCU and so many other movies, but also a great director and writer as well. This series is the first live-action series in the Star Wars universe created for Disney Plus after Disney bought Lucasfilm. Lucas was going to do a Star Wars TV show, live action, but never got round to it. I think it originally was going to happen in 2009 and never went anywhere. And then obviously sold it around 2012. Mandalorian is set 5 years after Return of the Jedi. It follows a lone bounty hunter called Din Djarin, portrayed by Pedro Pascal. He encounters a Force-sensitive child called Grogu and seeks to protect him from Imperial forces that want his blood. A whole range of people have starred in this show, including Kate Sackhoff, who plays the live version of Bo-Katan in Season 2 onwards. Developed for this series that really makes this show unique. And again, I've spoken before about Star Wars pushing technology forward. They do so in this with this new technology developed by Industrial Light and Magic that basically allows them in real time to have digital backgrounds on a 360-degree wall. The first season comprises of 8 episodes. All different directors as well. We get Dave Filoni doing his directorial debut, Deborah Chow, who did the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, Bryce Dallas Howard, obviously the daughter of Ron Howard, but also an actress and a director in her own right. And we also even get Taika Waititi, who directs the final episode of Season 1. He's meant to have his own movie at some stage. All of these movies have not really come to fruition is one of the big critiques I've had in the Kathleen Kennedy era of Star Wars. Season 1 for me is the best of the entire Mandalorian show. For one, it felt fresh and new, something different, but it stood on its own 2 feet. It didn't have direct links to the entire saga that's come before it. It felt like its own contained story. It had a lot of mystery. We didn't know who Grogu was. We didn't know anything about its character. We're seeing this post-Empire world and a completely lawless time, just as it was as the Empire was taking over, and it kind of shows how things haven't really changed.
Grief Karga said you were coming.
What else did he say?
He said you were the best in the parsec.
In fact, they probably got more dangerous. And we see the whole idea of this new republic not actually having full control of the Outer Rim. One of my favourite episodes is called The Sanctuary, and it's directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. She is a phenomenal director and really good for Star Wars. I'd love to see her take on more. It's essentially about a small village of farmers that are terrorized by what we later find out to be an ATST, but the way that she directs this episode is incredible, and coming off of her time with Jurassic World, it obviously has impacted her directorial touch on this, because she makes it feel like a creature. You always see is like the rustling of the trees in the background and these loud screaming noises and all of that kind of stuff. Makes it feel like a freaking dinosaur on the edge of this village, but turns out to be an ATST. But the way that she's able to direct it and make it feel like a creature, really, really impressive stuff. Cara Dune is also in the episode, and I really liked her character. A lot of stuff went on behind the scenes, which I don't want to bother talking about here, but I liked her character, and her omission from the series was such a shame. Episode 7, we get a confrontation with Moff Gideon's character, and he's really, really great at the beginning of this show as a villain, played by the excellent Giancarlo Esposito, who's also in Breaking Bad and The Boys. Like, his caliber of work is incredible. He's such a great actor and a great villain. Lots of tension, a whole bunch of shootouts, and with the final episode, it gives us this awesome showdown and how they escape with from the Empire with the help of the reprogrammed droid IG-11. Carl Weathers in this show is absolutely phenomenal. Now, I was lucky enough to meet this guy, absolute gent, Growing up, I obviously loved Rocky as well, and him as Creed, but also in Predator and Happy Gilmore. Such a huge, wide range of work. He even directs an episode in this. It's awesomely well done. Season 2 is good, but the weaknesses start to show from this season, mainly with the introduction of Bo-Katan and the other Mandalorians. The whole Mandalore Darksaber thing, it's just not. I've never really been hooked on that entire story. Even in the Clone Wars episodes, I'm just a bit about it all. It's just not really an interesting story to me. We do get some great stories like Cobb Vanth, played by Timothy Oliphant, who I think is another fantastic actor. He has Boba Fett's armor in this, and so we get the involvement of Boba Fett as well in the show. And that's something I did like. I do like Boba Fett's character, and especially in this as well. Really enjoyed it. The problem is when we go into his own show, which I'll talk about in a second. But the second season is a mixed bag for me. The middle section of the show has a lot of filler, but we get Bill Burr, who I thought did a great job in this as well, with the big kind of heist section of the show. Mando's helmet comes off, and that creates a lot of conflict with him and his feelings towards the creed that he signed his life to in the Mandalorians. And there's a whole thing with Bo-Katan, how Bo-Katan explains that his creed is basically an offshoot of the Mandalorians. That conflict was pretty fun. And I think the end of the season gives us the moment we all wanted, and all, not necessarily wanted, but the moment we needed after the sequel trilogy and all of the online discourse. Luke arrives in his X-Wing to save the day, takes down the Dark Troopers, and takes Grogu after sensing him through the Seeing Stone where he was placed on earlier on in the show. But unfortunately, we only see the progression of that story after this season through the Book of Boba Fett. They tried to do like an MCU situation where they would take another show and progress the story through that show as well. And unfortunately, it doesn't work because most of the Book of Boba Fett is pretty dog shit bad. And it's probably one of my least favorite things that Star Wars has done. And I sat through Resistance. Now, I don't have too much to say about Book of Boba Fett because I was just severely disappointed by the end of it. It starts off good. The whole Tusken Raider tribe, him surviving the Sarlacc, going to the Tusken Raiders, them kind of bringing him in the fold of the tribe and all of that stuff, and him, making his bantha stick and all of that stuff. Really cool because we got a humanized version of the Tuskens that we'd never seen. The problem is when it goes into other stuff. When it's the crime syndicate thing that was really slowly done and dragged on throughout the whole show, for him to eventually say, this crime lord stuff ain't for me. This is a completely pointless series. We didn't get the Boba Fett we knew, and explaining the character more and going more into it just felt like a reduction of his cool quality that he had in the original trilogy that was so mysterious. But we do get Grogu's progression of story with Luke. We have some Luke and Ahsoka moments, which I would have liked to have seen more of in a normal environment, not just the Book of Boba Fett, like an actual either a show or a film, or like diving into that a bit more and explaining why Ahsoka wasn't around during the original trilogy and really filling in a load of those blanks that isn't in an animated show. And I know there's a lot of fans of the animated show, but I struggle to sit through a lot of it all at once. That's just personal preference. Even as a kid, I didn't watch a lot of cartoon or animated shows. It just never happened. I watched movies at a very young age, even some horror and stuff. So animated stuff has never really been something I've been drawn to. But then, get Grogu's choice of not training with Luke completely undoes the importance of season 2's ending. And so it all just becomes messy and pointless and just feeling unsatisfied. But bringing Luke back with the technology they used, by the way, was fantastic. I think Luke looked excellent. If we could use this technology in a feature-length movie, I'm all for that. Again, pushing technology is what Star Wars does, and they did it well in this. Just as I said in Rogue One with Tarkin. Looks great. And then we get to Mando Season 3. Again, I don't have a lot to say about Mando Season 3. I felt very switched off throughout most of it. From the taking back of Mandalore plotline, which just doesn't interest me. And then you get the showdown with Moff Gideon is disappointing, and the whole cloning thing doesn't... Like, you felt like, okay, we're going to tie this in Season 2 with the main show, the main story of Star Wars. and it's going to progress, and we see like some tanks with what we think is Snoke, like the cloning of Palpatine or whatever that base was. For it to go to where it goes to, it's just disappointing. Like, they still didn't give us a reason or why they wanted Grogu's blood. They could have tied that into Palpatine and Snoke and all of that stuff and really like cleared up some sequel trilogy problems, but they just didn't do that. And a lot of it felt really rushed and poorly written. And this is the reason why I am not, and I'm sure some other people are, and you guys might not be, that hyped for Mandalorian and Grogu as a movie. It's like a few years too late. How good would it have been for season 2, the ending that we got, leading into a full-blown movie with Luke involved training Grogu as one side of the movie, and then another side having Mando's stuff, and then for it all to come together at the end. It just that would have been a well-paced, incredible movie, but we didn't get that. So I was disappointed by this show, and Book of Boba Fett. And in all fairness, Ahsoka as well. I'm going to have a separate video for that, but it was fine. I love the first season of Mando, and I like parts of the second season. And from there, it kind of goes off the rails. What did you guys think of The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett? Let me know down in the comment section below your thoughts, and I'm looking forward to bringing you the reviews for Ahsoka and the Mandalorian movie, Mandalorian Grogu movie, as well as the sequel trilogy that I'll be doing as well after that release. Then I'm going to be ranking all of the Star Wars movies and live action content in one video. We're going to do that as well. It's been fun going through this Star Wars stuff with watching it again, reviewing it for you guys. Let me know if you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you with the next one. Take care of yourselves.